All right, we're recording, Nate. No more talking about Vanway.
Welcome in to another edition of the Sandlot Dynasty League podcast, episode 13. Lucky number 13. Really excited to dive into the podcast today. Have Stevie, have Vanway's number one hater here with me, Nathan. We won't talk about Vanway's team too much today. I know that's always how can we not talk about Vanway's team, or how can we talk about Vanway's team? Seems like that's always the question to ask, but we have a good show planned ahead. I know that Stevie and Nathan have both been voted out of Survivor Cup, so we're going to hear their thoughts on the Survivor Cup. We're also going to talk kind of about the league, how the first half has gone. And then we're going to talk about the trade deadline. Trade deadline's coming up in a little over a month. I know it seems far away, but it'll be here before we know it. So we're going to talk about some pieces that we think might be moved at the trade deadline. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the top 6 team set. So buckle in, welcome in. Stevie, Nathan, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. I was going to let Nate go first, but really hoping for a couple Cubs W's since they're in St. Louis this week. Maybe I'll go to a game tomorrow, see old Rocket Arm Gruden throw out the first pitch, and pray that the Cubs can get some runs on the board.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Excited to be here as always.
It's a fun week, honestly, with Cubs and Cards. I I don't know. This is a topic I wouldn't mind talking about for a second. The way that the MLB does their scheduling now, where you play every team at least once a year. I like that, and I also don't like that. The fact that it's the end of June and this is the first time the Cardinals and Cubs are playing bothers me. And it also bothers me that they're playing on a weekday. Like that used to be like prime, like, all right, hey, Cards Cubs is every time is a weekend series. Every time it's a weekend series, and it's always going to be, which Bush attendance is something else right now, but like it was always sold out. But now that it's like it's the end of June and this is the first time we're seeing the Cubs, it's like the rivalry is not gonna die, I don't think, but it's gonna be lessened because of the way the schedule is. And I don't I like the new schedule because you can see teams you've never seen before. Like for example, you'd never probably see the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays came to town this year and things like that. But then again, I like playing the Cubs. I like playing the Reds. Like those rivalries are fun, and I like playing those. I like having those series more than seeing other teams come to town.
I like the divisional games. I don't have the bandwidth to learn all these MLB players from the other leagues and stuff, but I typically in the past always knew kind of the NL Central guys and stuff. And it just, yeah, unfortunately, this series is 4 games. It's Monday through Thursday. It's the hottest week it's been all year.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, Thursday's like a middle of the day game. Like most people aren't going to be able to like go to that one. I don't know. Yeah, I wish the Cubs and Cardinals played like every other week personally,
yeah.
but that's just my own bias. But
I agree. That would be fun. I do think it's weird that they're playing middle of the week, but I know we like to do this on these Zoom nights. Got me a Fitz's Cardinal Cream here for the
oh,
for the matchup this week. So
Sears toast the Cards
here,
Cubs.
yes, the
I got the
Quatros.
Quatros Cup. I tried to go down to the pool at my apartment to record, but the birds were chirping so loud it was probably going to make the nightmare in audio. I didn't know if, Mr. Editor Vanley was going to have any final cut of this podcast, but I didn't want to risk it. So I just came back up to the apartment where hopefully it's a little bit quieter.
Yeah. So whenever the drinks are gone is whenever we'll stop recording. So however long it takes us to drink the ski that fits in the what do you got in there, Stevie?
Topo Chico, just the mineral water. Trying to still gotta go to the gym after this. I'm trying to get fit 2025.
That's your year.
Started
Year of
about a week
Stevie.
ago. So yeah, okay.
So we'll kind of dive in here. Like again, I talked about it at the front of the pod, but you guys were both in Survivor. You guys both kind of were involved in everything with Survivor. Just kind of curious your guys' thoughts on year one. Of course, there are things that were going to change next year, but just kind of how did year one go for you guys? What did you guys like about it? What would you change? Just kind of give us your thoughts on how year one Survivor went so far. I mean, obviously we're still going on, but from your guys' perspective, how did year one Survivor go?
It sucked. No, I'm kidding. I was really mad when I got voted off. thought I had some guys in my corner in this league. Turns out there's a bunch of snakes, maybe some that even share a first name with me. Yeah, no, I think it ultimately was fun. I was incredibly angry that day when I got voted off because I thought I at least had a few weeks in me to cause some shenanigans, and instead I got my got turned on by half the guys that were hitting my line while I was at the zoo that day, just trying to have a nice Sunday afternoon. I got blindsided. But no, I think it's been fun. I think though, some general, and I've never watched Survivor, but some like general things for next year, and this has been already talked about, but like I think like the alliances or like have kind of teams at first and then maybe find ways like as like the host, the game maker to kind of like separate those factions down just to kind of maybe have some, artificial kind of alliances at the front and then like let people kind of break off from those like after we get farther into it. And then I think another big complaint was we probably want to spend some time as a league trying to figure out with the power up wheel how to whatever everyone kind of or somewhat agrees is like a balance because I think everyone just thinks it's the everyone had an immunity wheel, and so I think there's a lot of complaining about that, but that's just probably how that I mean I'd like to think that's just how the random generator work. So
I mean, the odds are if you just spun the random generator wheel, I don't have the odds right now, but it was like 1 in 21, I think, to get immunity.
I
Now,
was
if
gonna
you
say I
won,
think there were several on there. I mean, I looked at it the one time and it was, it just
now
said
if
it's
you
fun.
won, if you won the category, it was about 20% for you to win immunity.
Oh, okay.
Um, so there was perks of winning the categories, but like honestly, I think, I mean, now that power ups are done, I think there were 3 or 4 people that spun immunity on the 121 odds. I was like, of course, like nothing I can do about that, but maybe I guess make the odds less. Um,
I don't know if
or
you can really add that many more
like,
things though than what, yeah.
no,
I mean,
because
those were important though too, because there would have been a lot of just like the league just picking someone and getting them voted off. And that actually created where some guys like, were working with a group and then tried to vote someone. And then when it had to go to another vote and there were less votes involved, they got voted off. So I think it actually worked as far as like not just having it, whoever's in the biggest group text ultimately like swaying the opinion or the vote. But yeah, I mean, people then were obviously super frustrated when, you have this plan and it's like, well, sorry, Nate and Vanley have 14 immunities between the two of them. So
yeah,
I think it ultimately it's been fun. And I mean, just need to find ways to, make some tweaks to try to, make people complain a little less. But you got Marcus, you can't please everyone. Marcus is I'm going to run it next year. He's literally, burnt a bridge with everyone and he's still standing. I mean, no one feels sorry for you, Marcus. You're still in the game.
Nate, as someone who had multiple immunity idols, what was your think? What was your thought, or what was your opinion on the Survivor League this year? And also, would you have done anything different than the way you did, the way you conducted your game?
Yeah, so I thought I did think it was a lot of fun. I was very skeptical at first, I guess, but it was lots of fun. Uh, I think my biggest, before I answer your question directly, I think my biggest thought is I'm very curious to see how it works next year because it's not going to be the same, not just with the tweaks, but I mean, everyone can't align the same way and expect a different result or the same result. So that will be interesting to see. But uh, I don't know that I would have done anything different. I was really pumped to spin immunity different or immediately, and then I think that second week or the first week I won, I spun the -2 ERA, which didn't. It was helpful, but not totally winning. And then the third week I spun that second immunity. Um, it was fun. It was fun to like know I have one in my pocket and try to be able to maybe deceive people with it, which is what me and Vanway tried to do. Is really I had two, and I tried to make it seem like we used his to kind of play things off, but then it kind of ended up biting me because then I had to use mine and my second one the next week after. So uh, I wouldn't change things. I mean, I tried to keep myself alive as long as I could. That's the name of the game, and of course, eventually I ran out of uh, rope, I guess. But I am curious to see how it'll work next year, and I wouldn't change what I did, but I think that going into next year, I'm going to try to have a different strat.
Yeah, maybe
Do
not work
you
with the guy that like everyone hates. I don't know.
do you think that the way that the game was played this year with alliances and people backstabbing, do you think that will affect alliances next year?
I think everyone will have that in their mind, so I would assume that people would probably be cautious to work with me or say some of the others because of the actions that did take place. I mean, I just come out and say it, like I helped coordinate the strike on Vanway there with while he had the immunity in his pocket. So, uh, I mean, yeah, of course, I think it will play into a factor. But like Stevie said, I did agree with a lot of what he said there. And I think if you start with maybe two teams to begin with, that way people are forced to work with each other because you want your team to go to a certain point, that would maybe help keep that in mind or kind of settle some of those things. But it'd be interesting for sure.
I think too, like in having the teams, I'll just have to think of different ways. And we can do as a league. I mean, I'll listen to any opinions to like different ways to score. Like, cause like with the roto scoring, like that's like a pretty individualized scoring, but there's gotta be like I guess I could just add the points up and then whoever has the lowest point totals is that's the team that wins that week, or kind of like how we did that one week with I think it was home runs with Team Smoke and Team Fire, and then we chose the category. Like we could do something like that. Like I'm sure there's a lot of different ways where we can kind of figure out how to do the teams because I do like the teams because then like you kind of start with not the alliance you had in mind necessarily. And you can't pick your own alliance. So maybe like that'd be kind of fun and then, switch things up halfway. But like
Yeah, it
again,
helps
this is
people get involved because, like, yeah, not everyone in this league is like on a texting basis with everyone and stuff. And so find a way to like, you know, we like
yeah,
first week just, voted Jared off because no one really talks to him, as often as like, maybe Logan or someone does. So like, Logan wasn't super involved at first either. And so yeah, if you have those kind of teams, then at least you have like half the guys you're like, hey guys, like, we're trying to do this or that or whatever, like we're working together. So I think that would help. And then yeah, finding ways, yeah, with like categories or if it's like matchups based or whatever it is, just to kind of add some different twists and stuff to it. I think that could be fun.
I think one of my biggest things coming up with this game and was really to because fantasy baseball is a long season.
Yeah,
Has this
that's
made it go by faster? Because I like for me, it has. Like honestly, I'm like, holy crap, it's June 24th, and we still have like 2 weeks of Survivor left. But I feel like for me, I mean, which I've been involved in it, I've been doing it every week. So maybe it's just part of me like being involved. Like for me, it made the weeks go by faster. And like that was kind of my goal. It's like, hey, like let's like have fun while we're in the middle of the grind of fantasy baseball. Like for you guys, did it like while you were in it, did it make it like kind of go by faster? Like because it gave you something else to think about.
yeah, I mean, I think it helped with involvement in general because yeah, like especially like right now, like if your team's not performing well, it still gives you a reason to be involved with the league because it's kind of separate from your standings and stuff. So I think it made it more interesting for like me too, who's, I'm not really making trades and stuff because I still don't have a great, gauge on like players' value and stuff. But like this is something I could be involved in, texting guys, kind of just getting the group chat going and stuff, which is something I like doing. So
Yeah, I was gonna kind of branch off that and say it also it's made the season go by, but I think it's also limited trades a little bit actually, just because like I don't want to trade with you. You stabbed me in the back.
Yeah,
So, but that's fun. I mean, that's part of the game. So, uh, but yeah, it's flown by, dude. I can't believe it's already. I'm checking the standings. I'm like, dude, we only got so much left. So,
yeah. And I think maybe next year I started it pretty early. Maybe next year, maybe start a couple weeks a little later, just so it goes longer into the season. Um, but again, like this was just kind of a trial run. Like there are still things I'm learning about, but it's something unique. Like I don't think any other like leagues do this. So I'm like, it's something I can't like look up and like find, hey, this is how they did it. So like it's like we are just making it up on our own. And so that's why it's like every opinion is valuable to me because I want to make it as fun as possible. So we'll kind of transition here into the next segment. Just kind of talk about the league real quick, and I guess we can kind of compare, we can kind of combine this segment with the last segment I had. Do you guys think that the top six teams? So right now, the top six teams are me, Stevie, Vanway, Luke, Jared, and Nathan. So we are all within 10 games of each other. And then the difference between Nate, who's in sixth place, and Clayton, who's in seventh place, is 9 games or categories. Do we think that the top six teams are set? Do you guys think that? And if you do, you can kind of go off on that and just talk about the league. But what's been your? I think we're over halfway of the year. Let me do some math real quick. But it's kind of what's been your guys' thoughts so far on the season, and you can kind of comment on, do you think, if you think the top six teams are set? And we are well, by the way, we are well over halfway. So we only have 6 weeks left. After this week, we have 6 weeks left of the regular season.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll start here. No, I don't think. I mean, I would love to say yes, actually, that they're set. But I mean, 10 games is 1 week. That's the like the how crazy this league can be. One big week and you've made up 10 games, or one big week and you've lost 10 games. So right now right now a score in me and Logan, I'm down 2-8-2. So that would absolutely put Clayton, and or I think Marcus is tied with Clayton,
Yes.
also 9 games back. So a little scary there. But I would love to believe that, yeah, I'm safe, but I'm not entirely sure that that's the case. So I didn't realize how close up it was, though. I didn't realize we were all separated by 10 games. So a lot can change. 10 is
Yeah.
doable. I'm not sure about, I know we talked about the number the last time I was on being 2025. I'm not sure that 2025 with 6 weeks left is really doable. It would take a
Mhm.
miracle. I was really rooting for John, but I don't think he's got enough firepower to sneak in.
Acuna came back too late for him. If Acuna came back a little sooner, then maybe, but I think Acuna came back a little too late for his team to make that comeback. Right now, John's 14 games out of playoffs. So, I mean, maybe if he has a couple 12-0s, we've not seen a 12-0 this year, have we? I think we've been close, but I don't think we've seen one. I could be wrong. But Stevie, this being your second year and you're in second place, what's been the biggest difference between last year and this year for you, and what, like, in your team success?
Between last year and this year, what's the non-common denominator? Oh, John Bolt. He's really got this team whipped into shape. He's a real numbers guy. No, I don't know. I mean, I think last year, being honest, the had no idea what to do. I think this year I just have asked more questions, especially in the off season. I mean, I made some moves and stuff. You made a trade with me. I moved some players and whatnot. I like to think I fleeced Vanway on the Jackson Holiday for Westberg trade. And just last year, a lot of my guys were like kind of probably a year or two out, and I think some of them kind of sprung into, more prominent roles. For whatever reason, my team's hit a lot more home runs this year than I would have thought coming out of the draft and stuff. I think my batting stats have been significantly better, and I think I've won enough pitching categories every week, just depending on the matchup. But I think the pitching is kind of what has me worried as far as the wheels could fall off and stuff. But I don't know. I think too, just kind of have a better feel of like looking at stats and stuff, and here and there, maybe making a good pickup, or, if someone, Luke's helped me out several times with like, hey, check out this guy on the waiver, see maybe if you want to add him to your team and stuff. And so I think the combination of those things have helped my team, have a better record this year. And yeah, hopefully they'll hang on these last few weeks and I'll, get to see how the playoffs go. So
Yeah, anything can happen once you get to playoffs, which is and it's a good thing for really anybody. And you sneak in, like Nate could sneak in sixth place and then win the league. Like, it's just who gets hot. And and who doesn't get hot. And I was wrong. I said we have 6 weeks left. After this week, we have 7. So 7 weeks left. And I mean, it's really anyone's game. First place is anyone's game. I know the last pod, our last segment was talking about how my team is ruining the league. And then after that week, I lost. And then the following week, I barely beat Clayton. Like Clayton was in the lead like for almost the entire week, and then I'm only a half a game up on second place. So yeah, my team's sure ruining the league. But there's only a 10-game difference between me and sixth place. So just want that to be thrown out there with 7 weeks left. Um, Nate, what do you got in store for the rest of the season? Do you have any? Do you think are you going to be a buyer or seller at the deadline, or a little bit of
Uh,
both?
well, first off, dun-dun-dun. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks. So that's our emergency breaking news of the
Good
podcast.
riddance. I mean, that guy, he was horrible late in the season.
I think he was like dying with the flu or something like that, but that's
Yeah, I don't
irrelevant.
think it was the flu. I think it was something else.
But as for my direction, I really want to be a buyer. I've been trying to message some of the guys towards the bottom of the league standings to try to get people to trade to me. I would love to maybe offload some of the younger assets I have. Because I mean I don't want to give up. I mean six, like you said, we're all so close still. It's like I want to sneak in. I want to win the playoffs. I had a really bad team for a long time and blew my team up, and it's been a big deal of every podcast. So just getting in the playoffs is like yeah, I'm doing it right. It may
Yep.
not have been the way everybody else would have done it, but at least I'm doing it right, and or I've got in and done it. So
Yeah, I think you're in an interesting spot. But again, like we'll just kind of see. So the trade deadline, I believe, is I'll have to look this up and find out. But it's like the trade deadline's like it's a little late in the season to where like you'll have a better idea of when you're gonna like kind of where you're at if you need to make moves and what moves you need to make. But kind of speaking of the trade deadline, I'm really excited to talk about this next segment, and we'll kind of dive into it. We're going to talk about a trade deadline piece from each team, and I know that I went through each team, and we can kind of talk about it and some guys that you guys think too of a team that each team could afford to give up and kind of deal at the trade deadline that would be appetizing to other suitors. So I will go in order of the standings. So for myself, and you guys can kind of chime in here too. For myself, he's on the IL right now, but I put that I think Adley Rutschman would be a good trade piece for my team, maybe for a rebuilding team, young catcher who's at the top of his position, top 3 dynasty catchers. But on the IL, he's not doing me any favors right now. So I could see him being a piece that maybe a team that wants to get younger, kind of lock in that catcher spot for the next 10 years. I could see that being a piece that somebody would want.
uh, I agree. I looking at your team, I said maybe Bichette. I mean, with him having such a great year, that's kind of a valuable piece. Or if you were trying to maybe give somebody some assets to look forward to next year, I said maybe Steele and Rafaela, or
Mhm.
however you say his last name there. I butchered that,
Yeah.
I'm sure, but that would be a decent maybe package just to get somebody, a decent enough. Every little piece helps at this point. So trade deadline, by the way, is August 4th.
August
So
4th, yep. And that will be okay. So there's 21 matchups, and that will be in the middle. That will be the start of matchup 19. So there'll be 3 weeks left whenever that hits. So yeah, I have Rutschman, and then we can kind of go into the next team, Stevie, with your team here. I'm curious to hear kind of who you think, but for me, I put a good trade deadline piece from your team would be a guy like Yamamoto, where it's like, yeah, he can be a really good dynasty pitcher, but I think also you could get a lot for him, and so just kind of depending on how you value him, just in my opinion, I think he could be a good trade piece to where you could get a lot for him, maybe that would get you into that top 2 to get you a buy for the first round of playoffs.
Yeah, he's not on the trading block unless well, I don't know. I really have a hard time trading some of these younger pitchers because I'm hoping that they pay off and my pitching's not great right now anyway.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think actually I'm open to considering offers from everyone except Marcus. He's tried to get Yamamoto from me a million times, and he offers me like two bench outfielders. So, yeah, I think I'm willing to talk on anything, but I'm gonna always run that by my advisor Luke. And so, if you're trying to fleece me, he's gonna tell me. So, and then I will probably screenshot it and put it in the chat. So.
Nate, who'd you have for Stevie's team?
Um, I was kind of thinking younger guy, with high value, but not Yamamoto. I said Zach Neto. Actually, he's pretty high on a lot of those. Love this guy, even if he's struggling, he'll figure it out. He's got good metrics lists. So I also put as a bonus for Stevie, Dustin May, the Red Rocket dude.
That's because you want him.
Yeah,
That's because
absolutely.
you
That's
want him.
why. He's a stud, dude.
I think I do think too, like guys that are like on the IL, like who knows what Sasaki this year looks like? Like if you're playing for next year, like Sasaki's obviously a guy you want to have. Like if you're like, you know what, I might put all my chips in, like might trade Sasaki because who knows what the rest of his year is going to look like. Um, but yeah, I think Yamamoto is the guy I have because I think he's pretty valuable unless you ask Marcus and he sucks.
They
But
all suck, but he wants them. It's really weird how that works. He's like, "I'll take him off your hands for nothing," but yeah, I really do want him, but he's not good. Okay, makes sense.
and so some of the guys that I have on this list, I know for a fact that they have been offered in trades. And so for the next one for Van Way's team, I know for a fact that he has mentioned this guy in trade talks because he's offered him to me and he's offered him to some others. But Byron Buxton, I think I think that is a piece where it's like he could trade that to another playoff contender. I don't think he's going to trade Buxton to a guy who's not going to make playoffs. But I think Buxton will be a really good guy if he stays healthy on another playoff team because he's not some guy that Peyton could build around, for example. But he is a good piece where it's like, hey, here's some outfield depth where if this guy stays healthy, I mean, he's going to be like in the MVP conversation at the end of the year. Like, so I put, and I know that Van Way's trying to shop him. He's just trying to shop him and see kind of what value he can get. But I put Byron Buxton for Van Way.
Looking at him, no idea who he is, but yeah, 280, 46 runs, 17 homers, 47 RBIs, 13 stolen bases. Shoot me an offer, Van Way. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, Buxton's solid. That's what I put down too. I also put Javi Baez with the resurgence. I mean, I think a lot of people might be scared to buy into that, but that he's also the other guy I put down there. Kind of the same aspect, maybe to another playoff team.
Yeah, I do agree with that one. Luke, here another one that I know that Luke could potentially shop, that he'd be willing to move is Michael Harris. And I think Michael Harris could go either way. He could go to a playoff team or he could go to a rebuilding team, just kind of depending on the package that Luke would get. But yeah, for Luke, I put Michael Harris because I know that that's one guy that Luke would be willing to ship. Who'd you have, Nate?
That's I had Harris as well. Seems like we're along the same page. I know he put that he would sell his team name and his mascot in Sagano. I kind of thought about putting maybe Christian Walker on there. He's had a slow start. He kind of might be trying to put together a package, see if he has a big summer, which he usually does. But that I were so far pretty much on the same line here.
It's funny how my top six teams, like my top six teams, and then my bottom six teams are how I viewed their trade deadlines totally different. Um, for the next one for Jared, and this is the guy who is on the IL where Jared could get some value, even though he's a little older. But I think Jared could get some value out of Corbin Burns, especially if he traded him to maybe a team where it's like a team where he'd be a keeper on. I think that'd be a win-win for both teams. Like if a guy like Preston or Peyton could afford to keep Burns, then that would be a trade that I'd be willing to make if I was on both sides of that.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I put as well.
No
And then I also
way. You're just lying, Nate. You don't
I'm
even have a
not doing check
list.
check
I
the
could
check
do
the
that.
notes, check the notes. No, but I also put Arenado actually as kind of a blockbuster piece. I mean, he's having a pretty good year. I don't know that you would ship him to. I think it would just if the price was right, kind of thing. I know he didn't really want to keep or pick him in the draft, so maybe there's not really any, a lot of love there for him. But I think he could maybe get some value out of Arenado, whether it's for the future or now, depending on how he shopped him. So.
All right, Nate, for your team, curious to hear. You go first on this one. How about that?
That's fine. So for me, I put two players that I think I definitely have on the market. One of them being Swanson. Swanson's having a really good year, and I was actually really high on him, and I wanted to acquire him forever.
You're welcome.
Just the way that the year has worked out, I have so many shortstops now that I need depth other places, and he's kind of the short guy or the short end of the stick. So,
He is
and
short too.
and the other piece I put there is Polanco. I mean, he's still producing. We all kind of thought it was going to drop off. It dropped off a little bit, but it's still he's still being solid. So, but it's like I'm kind of scared to do that. Also, I don't really want to move anybody, but if I had to, I would say for sure those I would rather move those guys than maybe some of the others.
Guy I put for you, and this would be you trading him to a non-playoff team, was Christian Campbell. So only because like he's taking a roster spot on your team right now in AAA, to
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, let a guy towards the bottom of the standings, let him sit on his bench and let him be a keeper for the following year. And he's learning a new position too. Um, in AAA, he's learning first base, so he'll have some kind of some flexibility with his position eligibility too. But that's who I put for Christian Campbell, or for your team, I put Christian Campbell. So
yeah, that would be. I mean, I grab uh Shaw, real high. And then I got Campbell later, kind of hoping one of them would blossom, and I'd be kind of reluctant, but I'm not going to say no because you're kind of right. That may be the piece that I need to have me push into the next level. So
because
if anybody's interested,
right
hit
now
me
you have
up.
two guys. You have Campbell and Profar, which Profar is going to come back obviously sometime soon. What's the date? July
It's July 7th, I think.
7th.
I think
Yeah,
so.
July 2nd.
Oh, even
But
better.
that's what maybe that's factored into his rehab. I don't know. If he even, I assume he'll take a rehab because he's been out for so long. But you have two guys. You have him, and then you have Campbell, who
Aren't playing.
aren't
Yeah.
playing and taking up a roster spot. And if you're making a push, like those could be two spots that you stream pitchers at.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe, and you'll keep Profar, I assume, since you picked him up. But like Campbell's the guy where I'm like, that could be a
Yeah,
position
well,
where
I
you
mean, if
can.
depending on what the offer is, I guess Profar could be on the table. I just didn't want to. I saw him sitting there forever, and was like, we're getting closer and closer. I didn't want to be the one who misses out on picking him up because I do think he'll slot right in and be a good producer. But
And it's funny because his roster trend is plus 4%. So I think everyone else is kind of thinking the same thing. Like, let's get Profar before he's gone too long. So all right, I like you going first, Nate. Let's go to Clayton's team. On Clayton's team, who you got?
this is selfish, but I put Yelich. I think I've hit Clayton up a couple times, and I mean I've always liked Yelich, and I've always dealt Yelich. I haven't kept him very long, but I do think that he would kind of fit in if Clayton, if he wants to pivot and just full send on next year, then he might be a solid piece that he's not giving up too much and but can still hold a lot of value.
But and this would probably be really hard for Clayton. The one I picked all depends on if Clayton's gonna make playoffs or not. If he's gonna make playoffs, keep this guy. If he's not, trade him. And I put Zach Wheeler because Zach Wheeler would go for a lot for a playoff team. A lot for a playoff team. just because he is so consistent. He is so consistent. Like you know what you're going to get every single time. And I think his value would be out of all the guys I put on this list, I think he would have the highest value that could be dealt at the trade deadline if Clay decides to deal Zach Wheeler. Now that would be tough to get that value in return, but it would be worth a shot, in my opinion, especially if he's going on the route where he doesn't make playoffs. So
Yeah, I also put down Snell. He's
yeah,
about
kind
to
of the
come
same
back
thing.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he might have more value now than if he comes out and gets shelled. So,
yeah,
uh, but his obvious value has been all over the place too in this league. So,
yeah. He's one where it's like he's bounced around a ton of different teams. On to Logan, I'll go first here. Watch us have the same one when I go first. I put Emmanuel Class A because
uh,
I think that's one you can give up and you don't lose that many categories, but you could get like if someone needed a top tier closer, they could get a top tier closer in Class A. And I assume that Logan will not. That's me assuming that he will not make playoffs.
okay, I think maybe I missed Logan's team. Hold on a second. Let me fill in this. But I thought those people I have next are on. I think I might have done two Marcus's
Oh, I
rather than.
skipped Marcus.
Oh, maybe that's where I messed up at.
I skipped Marcus.
Skipped Marcus and
And
skipped
John.
and John. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll answer your question about Logan. I put Yandy and I put um Walker Bueller actually. Is what I had put down. I mean, he's not having a great year, but he's Walker Bueller, so maybe he's finally old and too injured, but that's where I put for Logan.
Yeah, I don't know why I have. I guess huh, I don't think I realized Logan was 10th. Maybe I don't know. I just missed up. Yeah, but I put Class A for him. We can go back to Marcus. Marcus, this is one that is kind of if Marcus misses playoff, which I think Marcus is still in the running. Him and Clayton are still 9 categories out where they can come back. But I put for Marcus, I put Manny Machado. Now, it might be tough to get that from Marcus, but I
You
did put
think?
I put Machado as his piece that he could deal at the deadline. Older guy, where he could deal to a playoff contender, and he's had a really good year. And so, playoff, if you need a third baseman, any playoff contender would really want Machado.
I put for him. I put just like he might get traded in real life. I put Ozzy Alves. Is that how you said that?
Albies.
Yeah. I think he's kind of a maybe an attractive piece to the right person if you like what he brings. He's got Realmuto too, who's kind of having I feel like an off year. That whole Phillies team kind of is too, I guess. But uh, and he got William Contreras in that trade, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with having two catchers, I guess, but I have two catchers currently, so but that'd be another piece maybe he'd be okay with giving away.
Yeah, that's good because he doesn't necessarily. I mean, William Contreras is going to play every day, whether it's catching or DH. So he doesn't really need Real Muto because he's not going to put Real Muto in his utility spot most likely. But all right, 3 left. So with John, this one's kind of a funny one, and this is John's man crush. So I doubt that he does trade him. But I put Castellanos. I think Castellanos could be a good trade piece because he's a good outfielder, um, good category player, gets extra base hits, gets homers, gets RBIs in a good lineup. Is going to get runs, like pretty productive category player. And I think John's a little too far out of reach for playoffs. I could be wrong. Like he could go 11-1 one week and be right back in it. But if he's going to miss it, I put Castellanos. I don't think he'll trade him just because of his man crush. And I don't blame him. But I think that'd be a good piece that could be moved at the deadline.
Well, yeah, and he's extra valuable right now. I mean, we got all this, conflict going on in the Middle East. He's ripe to hit some home runs. Just any given day, something
Yeah,
crazy could happen around the world. So
exactly.
you gotta factor that in when he's negotiating if he does decide to part ways.
Has to send him the news articles of Iran and Israel, and then Castellanos' name attached to it. Nate, who'd you have for John?
I had know he's offered this guy before. This is where I went with this with John. I put Sandy. I mean, I'm sure he feels terrible about the value he'll receive, but I mean, somebody would buy him. So,
Yeah.
and then I don't know if he wants to give up, but Quinn Prester would be another guy. That whole Milwaukee's pitching staff right now is incredible. So any Milwaukee pitcher is high value, but uh, certainly an attractive piece to maybe shop around the league.
Yeah, they got a. They're. It seems like me and Lou were just talking about this. Every NL Central team has, except for really the Cardinals, and it depends on how you view Cade Horton. Like every NL team has a super stud pitcher. It's like Reds have Chase Burns just got called up. The Brewers have the Mizurowski, and then Pirates have Skeens and really Jared Jones and Bubba Chandler. Like then like Cardinals don't have anybody exciting. I mean, they've got like Quinn Matthews, I guess, and Michael McGreevy and a couple of young pitchers, but they're not like super studs like those guys. But and
I thought
got
we had, didn't we have a guy named like Tink or something like
Pinkins,
that?
but he can't stay healthy.
Really?
He got dropped out of the top 100 prospects just because of his health. If he
Oh,
can stay healthy, he's definitely a top 100 prospect. But all right, last two. Preston. Okay, so I said for Clayton, I said Zach Wheeler, and I said he would have a lot of value. For Preston, I put Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso would have a lot of value too, especially for a playoff team. And if you look at Preston's like average age of his lineup, Alonso and Ketel Marte like are like 10 years older than his like average. Not really, but like they increase his average starting lineup age wise quite a bit. And I think Ketel Marte he should keep, but I think he could. I mean, at least listen to offers for Pete Alonso because you can kind of get another cornerstone piece. Maybe it's a little younger for Alonso, but I think that'd be an interesting piece. I mean, or he could trade maybe Torque to his dad. Maybe he could get some more value there. But
I went the same route as you, just different people. My biggest two I had on here were Nola and Scherzer actually. Kind of the same
same
realm.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw, it's some older pieces for young. Or I mean his like his name says, he's got the farm system now. So if he wanted to try to trade some of those younger guys for maybe a middle aged or in their prime piece, he might be able to do that, but his options of teams to trade them to are slimmer for that, I guess. So
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his pitching right now, it is very, very, very bad. He's got Flaherty and Barrios, and those are his best two pitchers. Like he's got Bubba Chandler's not in the league, Kyle Hendricks old, Andrew Abbott's okay, Scherzer's old, Nola's old and struggling. Like Severino, Fetty, like he's got his pitching needs some work. And so maybe he could trade those old guys for a
hey,
younger pitcher.
Abbott would be a good piece to trade too. If you want to trade him, Preston, let me know because he'd be solid.
And then last but not least, we got Peyton's team. For Peyton, I put just because there's a lot of unknown for this guy's future this year. I mean, unknown. He's rehabbing right now, so he's going to come back within a month. Brandon Woodruff, like when he last pitched, he was really good. Then was out for a season. Now he was trying to come back, and then he got hurt again in his rehab outing. So I think that's a piece he could deal. And this is maybe another hot take, but I mean, you could also deal Cal Raleigh. Like, I don't know if he'd get the value he wants for him, but I think Cal Raleigh offensively, and then I think he could maybe listen to some trades for Brandon Woodruff. Uh, Two pieces I think he could deal.
I don't think he'll get rid of the dump truck, but yeah, he would be a fun piece to acquire. I just looking at his team, he's also got a lot of youth, so I went kind of the same route with him. Is maybe some of his older pieces like Springer or Stanton or maybe even Nimmo would be some he could target if he's looking to get back some more pieces.
For what it's worth, Reds are home against the Yankees right now, and Chase Burns pitching. First inning, 3 Ks, no walks, no hits.
That
So
would be fun. I hope that works out for him.
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. But we'll kind of wrap up with just around the league, anything you guys have seen or any one thing you want to talk about this year that's happened, and kind of go ahead. If not, we can kind of wrap it up here. But I think so right now, I will say this. Right now, Stevie, Luke, Jared, Nate, all four in the playoff hunt, and none of them have won a championship. So we've had our league for 5 years, and we've had 5 different winners. We've not had a repeat winner. So that being said, odds are pretty good right now. If the top 6 teams stayed, there'd be a pretty good chance that there'd be no repeat winners. Me and Van Way are the only ones who have won, and so be kind of curious to see how playoffs played out with 4 out of the 6 not having won before. And obviously, I know who you guys would be cheering for because you guys are in the playoffs. But it'd be kind of I don't know. As if I wasn't in the league, I think it'd be cool to have like 6 different champs in 6 different years. Like the NBA advertised that on their social media. They're like, all right, 5 different champs since 2020. And it's like, that's like our league. Like we've had 5 different champs. And so I'm sure that John, Marcus, and Clayton would all be cheering for you guys too. So that'd be kind of interesting if it kind of plays out like that.
Anyone but Van Way. That's who I'm cheering for.
First round matchup right now would have Nate and Van Way. I mean, we couldn't ask for
Yeah, I
a
mean
better
that's
first round matchup than
Popcorn. Get
that.
your popcorn buckets ready.
We could not ask for a better. And so how it works, the first week is 1 week long. So again, anything can happen in a week. Second week is 1 week as well, and then the championship is 2 weeks. So it's like those 1 week matchups, anything can happen. So I mean, Clayton bounced me out in the first round last year, and like his team just got hot, and then he beat me, Marcus, and John. I think that's a pretty good playoff run right there from Clayton last year. But I hope Nate that you and Van Way play each other in the first round. That
That
would
would be
be cinema.
that would be fun. I know I agree. I think those other guys were hoping that one of us we have a new winner. So be sure to send us all your pieces so one of us wins. That's not Jordan or Van Way.
Yeah, and you
yeah,
guys could
feel
be.
free to collude with me. I love taking bribes and I'll do anything to win this league and talk shit and be like, it only took me 2 years to win after you screwed me on how the expansion draft went. I'd love to push that narrative.
I think yeah, that's what we talked about that last week, or last podcast was 2 weeks ago. Van Way was saying that the expansion draft wasn't fair. I'm like, well, Stevie's in second place right now, so I don't know how it wasn't the fairest we could be. Like Stevie's at the top and then PB's on the bottom. So like, it was
Something went
just
wrong.
something happened where it was. I mean, it was about as
Well, I mean, I think that like, yeah, we had no chance last year. I've kind of got a little bit lucky this year, also with like some of the trades I made is really what helped make my team. I still think I would have been in a pretty bad spot if I would have just rolled with the guys I like picked up slash drafted last year and really didn't make any moves and stuff. But I don't know. Those things are always going to be hard to because also like the guys that are in the league aren't going to want to give up too many of their players to that type of expansion draft. But I don't know. I think you want the league though to be competitive. Like, yeah, hopefully some of these guys or teams this year that, are kind of in rebuild mode or back in the mix next year. I think with any fantasy league, you just don't want anyone like perpetually in the bottom. So that's always kind of the hope is that it kind of remains competitive.
yeah, and I think I say this every week. I think Peyton's gonna have the pieces soon. Like maybe next year is the year he can kind of get out of the bottom, and once he does, really like there's not gonna be a team that is constantly at the bottom. Like I think because I mean I bet if we looked at like kind of who got last the past couple of years, like I bet we always talk about having a different champ. Like I know that's different too. So I know we don't have teams that are constantly in last place, along with having our league is competitive and anyone can win. I think we have a perfect balance of keepers and draft picks being important too. Like you can keep your core guys with 14 keepers, but then draft picks are still really important. Um, where you still have to have a good draft to have a good team. So, and I'd like to, I wish one thing I'll say before we go, I wish ESPN would give us a NA slot to where we could put our prospects. I think we've done a better job this year because I sent out the screenshot of all of the prospects, and I think that helps, like just having on your phone to look at before you make that pickup. Um, but like I wish they would give us an NA slot to where like you could put those prospects on your bench essentially. So that way they're not on the waiver wire. And I also think that the prospect thing too, it with Stevie, you like think about you have you have Jack Haglione.
Got the
Like
spicy
you have
Italian.
him. So like think about that. You haven't even called him up yet, have you?
I've
So
been needing them. Got Ben
no.
Rice and O'Hearn or whatever his name is right now.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing too with the prospects. I think those are important too. Because you have a good prospect, like that's a guy you can that's an extra draft pick you have. So you can wait, let him kind of find his footing. And then like your trade deadline piece, Stevie, could very well just be calling him up if he's figured things out. And it's like you just added a stud bat to your lineup without giving away anything.
Yeah, it could be a hedge against like a God forbid an injury or something at one of those, infield or first base positions where I'm kind of scrambling. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm kind of talking about prospects. I hope I didn't let Cade Horton go too early. But Luke told me Caglione was good, and I mean, I'm not super, I have no reason to be frustrated with having him kind of in the holster if I need him. So
Hey, do you know your prospect is Dalton Rushing? Have you kept tabs on him and how he's doing or anything?
Uh, yeah, so I did. I was really excited for him. So I did go ahead and call him up, and in hindsight, I wish I hadn't, truthfully. Uh, but I was excited about the outfield and the catcher eligibility, and um, just reading some of the hype on him again, which I knew there was a lot of hype in that organization that they wanted to call him up, but the playtime is just so competitive now. But he's hitting 244, 8 runs, 1 home run, 9 RBIs. He plays every third game pretty much. He might slot in as a pinch hitter. So that's definitely one of those like I just got sucked into the hype and called him up because I wanted him to be great, and I could use that extra spot right now, but I don't want to let him go and have him be taken. So
Yeah, that's the worst. Like honestly, the worst is just like, hey, if you drop him, you don't like Logan says, like you don't want to be the guy that drops a stud and then
yeah,
someone else picks him up and he goes off. Especially a guy that's young, plays for a really good organization like the Dodgers, and like you said, he's got catcher and outfield eligibility and plays for really good teams. Like those guys, you're always like, oh man, should I call him up? Like, but yeah. If we don't have anything else, Cardinals and Cubs are starting in about 20 minutes. So get this pod wrapped up, and I will upload this to YouTube and get it going. So thank you, Stevie and Nate, for hopping on today, and hopefully you guys, if you're still listening, let us know, how it was, and just let us know, I guess, that you listen. If you listen, send us a text. I will say this: last week we didn't do one, and I did get a text about if we were going to do one or not. So I know at least some people listen, and that's what matters. So hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the Cards Cubs game. Go Cards. Peace.
Nate, Jordan, been a pleasure. Go Cubs, go. Peace.
see you guys.
See ya.